Hey everyone, it is your girl Anifa. I have not created a video in a while, but I wanted to create this video about starting over at 27 years old because I feel like it's really important that I talk about what's going on in this era of my life. If you guys of course want to see me like live my life day to day, I do have vlogs on this era, but let's talk about it. Let me get out my makeup. So we're gonna be doing my makeup today. I have a whole bunch of new makeup from Win Beauty, Huda Beauty, what else? Summer Fridays. So I'm super excited to try this stuff with you. Let me introduce myself first. So I am 27 years old and I am a Cancer. I'm a Cancer. I just moved back with my parents. I lived abroad for about 2 years. I did 1 year in London where I was doing my master's, and then 1 year in Australia because I couldn't find a job in London. And honestly, I was feeling a lot of shame in the fact that I couldn't find a job, and I just felt like a failure. And I felt like it was way too soon for me to come back to the US. Like, I just did not want to back to the US. So when it wasn't working out, honestly, I just was like, let me go to Australia. My sister lives there. I hadn't seen her in 2 years, and like that will give me enough time to decompress. And then at the time that I was living in Australia, I was also still job searching for jobs in the UK because I desperately wanted a job in London. I loved living in London. Like, I just loved the social aspect of London. I loved being on foot. I loved that I could just walk everywhere, take the tube everywhere. I love the tube, especially like if you're into like the nightlife. I just love that with London. Like, I didn't have to spend a crazy amount on Ubers or anything. Like, I could just get around the city easy. I loved that you could be walking down the street and they'll be selling flowers, or they'll be like local food trucks selling food. Like, I feel like London had a lot of community oriented events. And oh my gosh, this broke. My foundation broke, brush broke. Oh well. Yeah, so I was just really comfortable in London, and like socially and just emotionally, London just felt like the right place for me to be. The only way that it didn't align with me was financially. And so when I started doing my job search, number one, I was struggling to find a job. And then when I would talk to companies, they would lowball me like crazy. And that's kind of when I figured out, that the salaries in the UK are insane and you really have to sacrifice a lot to live there. Going to London and like doing grad school is one thing, but actually living there, if you're not like an influencer or like making a crazy amount of money, actually living there is not for the weak. You have to sacrifice a lot financially, especially if you are someone who's an immigrant in the country. Even if you're from the United States, like, you're still gonna struggle. I feel like they lowball you and they want you to just like take up the position. They know that they have a lot of talent, they have a lot of competition. So they're just gonna get whoever's willing to take the lowest price, at least to start off. I feel like once you build yourself up and you have a career and you have done work with different companies in the UK, then you can navigate the system better. But the way the system is set up is not for you to win, especially if you're an immigrant. So if I experienced that as an American immigrant, I can only imagine what the other people were experiencing, because people would just tell me like, oh, you're American, so things are easier for you. And that wasn't the case. But like, so London didn't work out. Australia was fun for 1 year. Like, Australia, I just decompressed. Australia was like a time for self-care. And now I'm back in America and it is back to reality. And I'm just like now realizing that I have to start over. Well, I've been starting over, but like when I was in Australia, I was kind of avoiding it. I just was kind of living life, constantly going out to dinners and just having a good time, traveling a lot. But now I'm back and I'm just like looking at the reality of my life, and it is a lot. So like I said, I am living with my parents and it is so weird to be back. I genuinely thought that the last time that I left, I wouldn't be back. So the fact that I'm back is a lot. Initially, when I decided to move back with my parents, I did feel embarrassed, like I'm a failure, I'm going back to the US, I'm going back to live with my parents. But honestly, that's such a childish way to think, because it is a privilege to be able to have parents that you can fall back on. Even if you have like siblings, like anyone that you can fall back on when you're at your lowest, it is so nice. Like even if it's not the most ideal situation, or like some people would say, like when you're living with your parents, you kind of have to give up your mental health. Even if it's that, it's better than any other situation where like you living in a place and like you're barely surviving, or some people end up homeless. So I am very grateful that I'm living with my parents again. Honestly, living with your parents when you're older, you definitely have a lot more independence. Like it's different when you're like younger and you're in high school or whatever, and your parents are very strict and they want you to be a certain way, versus when you're an adult and you kind of have your own way of doing things. It's not necessarily that I can come up in here and act crazy. I'm gonna still be demure with it, especially now that I'm older. I know now how to do anything that's gonna get me in trouble or get me caught. So like you're better mentally, like you just know how to move around the house. But also your parents are just not gonna be bothering you like, oh, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I don't know. Like there's definitely a bit more independence. Like there are things that I can do now that I would not have been able to get away with when I was younger. Like I could go out with my friends and like spend the night, and no one's gonna say anything to me. I think parents really start acting like freaking out if you're constantly doing that stuff, or if you like, for example, if you are constantly gone, you don't help out with the house, you don't clean, you don't do nothing, or you are never in the house. Like as long as you do what you need to do in the house, like you occasionally help around, you make sure you clean up yourself, you aren't always like leaving the house and coming whenever you want. I feel like your parents would just not, like they would just leave you alone. So there's a way to do things. And I think because I'm older, I just know that I would rather protect my peace and do what is able to get me to move around this house comfortably, versus like do things that is gonna make my mom be on me about anything, you know? So yeah, I would say living with my parents right now, it is like it feels good to have this place, because I don't feel a lot of pressure to figure things out like tomorrow. But I will say like there is still internal pressure that I put on myself in terms of like the things that I want to accomplish in my life that I should have at this age. Those are the things that make me feel like I need to hurry up and get out of here. For example, I just want to have my own apartment. Like I want my own space. So that's one of the things that motivates me to want to leave. Or like I think the main thing is just like I want independence, I want a career, and I don't know if I could do all that while living in Colorado, especially for my industry. I work in the beauty industry, and the beauty industry, like you have to live in certain places if you want to do the corporate route. Like you have to live in New York or San Francisco. And so because of that, I'm often stressed, because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to really like kick off and like really stabilize myself in my life, then I need to leave Colorado. So that's the main thing that makes me want to leave home. But I try not to focus on it because it's a lot of stress. I've been living with my parents for about 4 months. Honestly, I've just gotten into the swing of things and I'm okay now. I feel like, you know, the little voice in the back of your head that's like, you shouldn't be doing this, you're too old, you should be embarrassed, like all those negative things. Once you're back home and you're in the swing of things, honestly, that immediately goes away, because once everybody knows, because I will post about it on social media, like I'm not shy, like I mean, I do care, but at the same time, like once people know that you're back home and you're living with your parents, the little doubts about living at home, those go away. That little insecurity and embarrassment, it goes away, because you just real like you're just grateful. Like I'm just grateful that I have this space, that I'm back at home, even though I don't have my own room. Oh yeah, that's the other thing that makes me not want to be home, is because I don't have my own space. So I just want that independence and space again to myself. If I had my own room at home, I definitely think it would be different. I would be taking my time even more with staying here longer. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is like when you leave your home state and then you come back and then a lot of people have moved away and you realize like, okay, I do have friends, but like everybody has like their own friend group right now and everybody's doing their own thing, and maybe some like you might have disconnected from some people, so it's just like you don't really want to like associate yourself with them, and you end up like spending a lot of time alone. So for me, like once in a while I might hang out with some people, but like at the end of the day, like those people have their own lives, like they have their own friend groups that they see, and I'm just not a part of that. And I don't feel like any way about it, to be honest. Like I don't feel any way about anyone in my life right now, like if they're spending time with other people, because I know that I'm just not stable enough for me for them to be like prioritizing. Not that they shouldn't prioritize me, but like I can understand that they've moved on and they lived their lives without me, and like me coming in, like we're gonna hang out, we're gonna catch up once in a while, but it's not gonna be like their lives revolves around me. And so right now I don't have any connections like that, and so it does, oh, it does kind of suck, because like if I want to go do something, like I'm like, oh my god, like do I have a friend for that? And so I re-downloaded Bumble BFF. I haven't really talked to anyone. Like I know a girl messaged me the other day, I didn't respond. I don't know if it's like anxiety, but like it's just like having to make friends all over again. Well, it's not that I'm starting all over again with friendships. It's just like, making new connections again. It can get exhausting, especially if you're not sure where you're going to be at in the next 1 year. It just can get exhausting constantly meeting people and then getting excited about them, liking the person, and then before you know it, you're moving. And doing friendships long distance, it's not that it's impossible, it's just hard. So like when I was in Australia, my main social connections, they were all like my sister's friends. And yeah, like I feel like I haven't really built new stronger connections in a while. I do have some good ones, but like again, those people moved on with their lives. And yeah, like I'm just in this awkward position. It is a weird position to be in. Let's do another question, another topic. So with my career, I have like a freelancing job, and then I'm also kind of like trying to find something full-time. Like my ultimate goal is to be in a full-time job, have benefits, get a good salary, not have to struggle financially. I just want to be in a better position financially by the end of this year. And the job search, it is really, really hard, especially if you live in another state and you're trying to apply for jobs in different states. Like they don't really consider you, so I barely get callbacks. Like I don't get interviews. I haven't gotten a Colorado interview yet. I had one recruiter reach out to me. They kind of ghosted me. I never found out like anything more about that position. And I'm just kind of like in this standstill because like I feel like I'll probably find a job for a company that's willing to hire me remote. Most of the companies I don't think are going to be willing to hire for me remote, especially if it's like I'm still at like an entry level. I think if I was like if I was a manager or like in a director job, then companies are willing to like pay for you to relocate. They're willing to interview you. Like they're searching more globally than, not globally, but nationally than if you're just like in an entry level job. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's just harder to find a job while not living in the city if you're looking for entry level roles, which I am. Like I'm looking for like entry level roles plus like any roles are like early management roles, I guess that's what you call them, like assistant manager. I could do that. That's what I would want. So with my career, my career is really like I've started over a million times in my career, and that's why I'm struggling so much. Like with my career, I graduated during the pandemic, so it has just been like I do something, like I do an internship, I realize I don't like it and I don't want to do it full time, and then I have to like pivot into something else. Like for the past 4 years, I've just been pivoting and I haven't really been building a career like upwards. Like I don't know if that makes sense. Like imagine if you were a marketing manager and like you started off as a marketing intern, then you were a marketing assistant marketing, and then you were like an assistant marketing manager, and then you were a marketing manager. For me, I started off in channel marketing, then I did e-commerce, and now I'm doing social media. Like those are all so different. Like I'm just like hopping around everywhere, and it is really, really, really hard. I just have not built up experience in a particular area. So it just makes life 10 times harder for me in the job search. And I'm constantly starting over. Right now, I am, because I'm doing my freelance job in social media, I really like that. And I am ready to set down my roots in like a career field. Like I would love to work in social media. But again, because I think I'm working for like a smaller brand, companies, when they look at my resume, they're not really like considering me. I don't know. Maybe that's one of the reasons. I do not know. But yeah, we're job searching. And one of the things that I really have learned in my mid-20s that I want to emphasize, if you are a young person who's listening to this, who, is kind of interested in this topic of starting over, like what is one of the most important life lessons that you would learn about an era in life where you don't have a full-time job and you really have to like fend for yourself? The most important thing that I would say is you really need to learn how to survive. And in my vlogs, I talk a lot about how in the beginning, I felt like I couldn't survive. And what I mean about surviving is financially. Like if you lost your full-time job today, like how would you cope financially? How would you make money? Would you know how to grind? Would you be able to find other opportunities to make money? Because you get like unemployment for so long. And then let's say you're applying for like even like retail jobs. There was a point where I applied for retail jobs and I couldn't even get like a retail job because you go in and they realize that you're kind of all over the place and that you haven't really, like if you've always worked a retail job, you could probably easily find a retail job. But I don't know why I struggled to find even a retail job. It's so embarrassing. But like there's a time where I was unemployed and I was even interviewing for the retail jobs, and like they just, like I went to an interview and I literally got rejected, and I was like, oh my God. So I say all this to say that even if you got rejected from like a conventional job, like a retail job, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna bartend? Are you gonna Instacart? Are you gonna Uber? Because like Instacarting and Uber and DoorDashing, like those are things that you can do where you don't necessarily like have to apply for it. Are you going to start like your own little side hustle that, like for example, you're gonna do makeup, you're gonna do hair, like what can you monetize that you can fall back on anytime you're unemployed? And I will say this time in my life with starting over, I am more comfortable financially in terms of like I actually having money. There's times I've been unemployed and I didn't have money. So knowing how to have money and how to make money when you're at your lowest point is so important. I was watching this TikTok and this lady was talking about like when you're unemployed, the most important thing that you need to learn is that you need to know is that you can actually still bring in income. And when I first started doing Instacarting, like I was just so proud of myself. Like the fact that I could just bring in an extra $100 a week meant everything to me. Because I feel like when you're unemployed, like you're just like in this really low mentality of feeling like, like you're just not able to bring money in, and it just affects your self-esteem. And then like your finances are plummeting, you're going to these interviews, they're telling you you're not good enough, you're getting rejections left and right. So if you can figure out a way to still make money even when you're unemployed, that is going to be one of the most important things. So for anyone who's watching this video who is starting over, maybe you're at home and you haven't really been able to get anything and you're feeling like, you know, you have a lot of financial responsibility, really think about different ways that you can make money so that you can feel even better about yourself. Because self-esteem in this era of life is everything. And allowing the ego to die is even bigger, is even more important. Like for me, I had to let my ego die. When I moved back to the US, I moved back with my parents. And when I started Instacarting, I literally posted on my TikTok, like, oh, this is what I do on the side, so sometimes make money. Like you have to like just be yourself authentically and not care what other people think. Because literally the minute you start thinking about, oh, if I'm doing this, this person's gonna think this way about me. The minute you start thinking like that, like it really holds you back because you care so much about what other people think of you, when in reality you should just be focusing on how you are going to survive in this era of life. That is the most important thing ever. Let's do this powder together, and then I think I'm going to do the rest of my makeup and I'll come finish off this video because I've been yapping for so long. So this is the Huda Beauty Ube powder. I am so freaking obsessed with it. So I like to put the powder on this, and then we're just gonna put it on. It's so freaking pretty. It's like a lilac lavender color. Oh my gosh, there's this one coffee shop. They have like an ube. It's an ube latte. It's so freaking good. This reminds me of it, and it's like a really pretty purple color. It's so freaking pretty. So this is the look that I did on Valentine's Day. I'm just redoing it again because I want to do my content for my outfit. I didn't get any content done, so I was like, let me just do my makeup again exactly the same and also do my outfit content. I might do like a YouTube video as well. Okay, so I'm gonna do my makeup off camera and then I'll come back and we'll talk about the final 3 topics and we'll be done. Hey guys, so I am back. I did my eyes. Do you guys like it? Do you not? Anyways, yeah, so I'm about to apply this Dior blush that's literally beaten up so badly. This is embarrassing. But let's talk about dating. I mean, dating, I've always been single, so like there's really not much to say. I'm still single. I'm back. I have yet to actually go on a serious date in Colorado. I've never been on a serious date in Colorado, which is so crazy because I literally grew up here. Actually, I've been on 3 dates. They were not serious dates, so I wouldn't even consider them. One of them, the guy took me out on a date. I made him take me to the bank because I wanted to do something, and at the time I didn't drive, and then I told him that I had an emergency because I really didn't like him, but he had been pursuing me for so long that one day I was like, you know what, fine. We worked together, so every day I work he would just bother me about it, and then the day he quit, I guess I ended up saying yes, and I left early. Like I left that date early. The second date, I went on a date with a guy. I don't even know how the date came about, but I just know it happened. And when I went on that date, I just did not like the guy at all. So I left. Well, no, so what had happened is we went to like, we ended up going for a coffee date. And I again lied that I had something to do, so I left early. And then the third date that I've been on, I met the guy at the club. And you guys, I really don't even remember how that guy looked like the night I met him at the club. I just remember we talked, we exchanged numbers, and then when we went on the date, I was like, he was not bad looking, but like we were not a good match. He wanted to only pay for drinks. Like it almost seemed like he brought me on the date for us to get drunk so that he could take me back home with him. And those are the vibes that I was getting, and he was just a bit intrusive about like my past, and I just didn't like it. Like I felt so uncomfortable. So then after I left that date, I never saw him again. He made me pay for my bill, and then he texted me asking me about like, "Oh, when can we meet up again?" I was like, "Sir, you must not have read the room, because I'm never gonna see you again." So I've never been on a serious date in Colorado, and I feel like because of my trauma from that, it just makes me not even want to try. So I'm not dating. So we're not starting over in that area of life. I've always been single, and I'm not trying in Colorado. I might try if I meet the right person, but like I have to meet someone who's worth me putting in effort for. So that's dating. What else? Let's talk about finances. This is the juicy part. Okay, so finances, starting over in your 20s. Starting over in your 20s, I feel like with finances is almost inevitable. And that's something that I'm working on. I feel like when I was younger, I didn't really have like a good influence. Like I didn't have anyone on me to like tell me not to do certain things, like don't take out credit cards, be careful. Like, so over the past couple of years, like I would pay off my credit cards and then I would run them back up and then I would pay them off. Like it's been a cycle. And so being unemployed, not having like a full-time job for so long, yeah, that credit has gone down. Has gone down. Actually, after filming this video, I'm gonna sit down and like look over it again, because once in a while I'll sit down, I'll try to do something about it. That sounds so unserious. It's not cute, it's not funny, it's really not. I really need to like get myself up. I feel like though, however, I will say, like I know that, okay, so I have credit card debt, but at the same time I know that I'm young enough to fix it. I'm not at the point where I need to file for bankruptcy, no, but also I really need to get my ish together. And I don't know, I guess like when I was in Australia, I just got to a point where I just didn't care anymore. Like I stopped caring about it, I stopped stressing about it, and I still don't stress about it as much, but I do now more than ever. Like I do focus, I do try to like get myself back on track. And so in this year we have to get myself back on track. We have to. But I feel like when you're younger, like you just don't know any better, and you really can't beat yourself up for the rest of your life for being young and reckless. Like you just live and you learn. And especially in the economy that we're living in, people are literally losing their jobs, getting laid off all the time, and surviving off credit cards. And yeah, that's just the reality of life. I would say, however, I haven't used a credit card in like 2 years now. Like I don't remember the last time that I used a credit card to buy anything. So I guess like the good thing about me being where I'm at financially is that I've learned to value having my own money and value not focusing on other people's money. I actually have a friend from the UK, and she literally was like, the way you guys treat credit cards in America is actually not normal. And I was like, yeah. Like I never thought about it that way, but then I realized like, oh my God, like the system in America, it is set up to trap you. Like if you don't come from like a financially affluent family, or if you're just not someone who is extra careful, because me and my sister were different. Like my sister's very, like she's very financially cautious, but to the point where she won't even spend any of her money. Like she will just like, you know? So I feel like trauma, poverty, the poverty mindset, it comes in different forms. For some people, it's like running up the money. And other people, it's like being extra careful and saving every single penny. And unfortunately for me, it was running up the cards. So that's something that I'm still trying to figure out. I also know that this is not going to be my reality forever, because, you know, as long as I use the degrees that I got and I get a good job, I should be okay. Or as long as I even have the mentality of like making money, I will be okay. I'll get to a point where I'm going to pay it off. And my relationships with credit cards, it has completely changed. One thing that I don't play about is Afterpay, like Afterpay, Klarna Pay, whatever. All those, I'm not going down that rabbit hole, because it's just like, what's the point? Like you just want to enjoy the money that you have. Like you don't want to constantly be paying off credit cards or buying stuff that you can't afford in that moment. Like just buy what you can afford. Like even this camera that I have right now, I really heavily considered financing it. But then my intuition was like, girl, why? Girl, why? And I remember even my sister, like there's one time where I was really in need of financial help and I almost got another credit card, and she was like, girl, like you literally don't have to. And so for me, like in the past, like I would use credit cards as a way to have like that security and to be able to get things that I want. And that energy, like it just has to stop, because it has only made my life worse and then it has made it better. So I've fucked up my credit card many times. So in the past 2 years, I haven't really been interacting with my credit cards. But like in the next year and a half, my goal is definitely to clear out any debt, only be focusing on student loans, and just be done. Like I don't want to be dealing with any credit. Like I only want to have credit if it's like good credit, like if I own a house, or like, you know what I mean? Like learn what type of credit is good, because not everything has like a good and in return in investment. I don't mind my student loans as long as I see that return in investment in about 5 years. If I don't see it, I'm gonna be pissed. But yeah, so if you're living with your parents, you're young, you're single, you feel like, oh my god, I need to make new friends, you feel like, oh my god, I need to fix my credit card, I need to get my life together, I need to date, I need to make like whatever, girl, me too. Follow me and let's get through this together. I'm gonna use the L'Oreal 3-second setting mist. Child, I don't even know what I'm using that for. Like, I'm literally not gonna go out. It's 4:18. See, now I want to treat myself to a coffee. Okay, maybe I might treat myself to a coffee later. Okay, so this is the makeup. I am going to do the lips and then I'll be back to close out this video. Hey guys, so this is the final makeup. Before I go, I did want to share one final moment. So basically the other thing that I talked about earlier was like having multiple sources of income. And if you guys watch my vlogs, I do a lot of Instacarting to make extra money. And one of the hardest days on Instacart is when I have to do someone's Instacart order and it's a lot of products, and then like I show up to their place and they live in a townhouse and I have to like take 5 to 6 rounds of bags to the door because they ordered so much, even though they live in a townhome that doesn't really have like an easy way to access it through car. And I feel like every time I have those moments, or every time I'm Instacarting and I'm not really making a lot of money, I always have these moments where I'm just like, this is really my life. Like, this is really my life. And that always depresses me. And that's just the reality of being this age and having to start over. Is like, you're gonna have a lot of moments where you feel like, oh my god, like I can't believe this is the life that I'm living in, and then it's gonna send you in a depression, and then you're gonna break down, you're gonna cry, and then and then it's gonna be like a continuous cycle. How do I keep myself sane? I love doing things that I love. Like, I love doing my makeup. I do my makeup sometimes when I go Instacarting or when I go to the coffee shops. I love coffee shops. I'm obsessed with coffee shop culture. So I love getting myself a coffee. I love like working out, going to Pilates. I just got into that with ClassPass. So self-care has been really important in keeping me mentally sane. I take breaks. I have been Instacarting for about a week. I will again soon because I need the money. But like, I just definitely feel like you have to also continue to nurture yourself and give yourself grace for the days where you might not be as consistent. I wish I had the consistent grind to keep going every day and keep doing the same thing, but I would literally go insane. So for example, with my job search, like there's days where I just do not apply because like I spent last week applying and I didn't get anything, and I need to focus my energy elsewhere. Like I need to Instacart, or I need to do something else that makes me happy so that I can mentally stay sane. So it is really important for you to continue to nurture the things that make you happy, and to also acknowledge when you're not feeling well. Like one of the things that I started doing lately is like I'll be in the car and I'll just do like a voice memo to myself and just talk and just be honest and raw about exactly how I'm feeling, instead of like, you know, just not acknowledging things, because that's what leads to a complete total meltdown, which I already had this year. But you're gonna survive. Like you're gonna survive. And if you don't believe it, subscribe, because you're gonna watch me survive, because I'm gonna survive. We're all gonna survive. We're all gonna do it. Yeah, you can hit rock bottom, but you can also thrive again. So yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys want me to talk about more things like this, let me know. What other topics do you guys want me to touch on? I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, and of course don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.